In the corner of Sunnydale Elementary School's playground stood a small blue recycle bin named Rico. Rico wasn't very big, certainly not as tall as the tall brown trash bin beside him, or as shiny as the silver compost can. But he had something none of the others had, an enormous heart and a wish to help the world. Every morning, children rushed past him on their way to class. Some tossed bottles inside, some tossed papers, and some, well, missed completely. Rico always tried his best to catch every piece of recycling because he believed that every paper saved a tree and every bottle saved a bit of earth. But even with his enthusiasm, Rico often felt unnoticed. "Look at me," boomed Tanker, the big brown trash bin. "I get all types of garbage. I'm the busiest bin here. Without me, this place would be a mess." Compostina, the tall, elegant green compost can, chimed in. "And without me, all the banana peels, apple cores, and food scraps would smell up this whole playground." Rico smiled shyly. I catch bottles and paper," he said, though his voice sounded as soft as the crumpled worksheets the children tossed into him. Tanker puffed himself up. You do the least work around here. Hardly anyone uses you. Kids forget recycling all the time." Rico lowered his lid. Maybe Tanker was right. Maybe he didn't matter as much as he hoped. One blustery morning, the wind rushed through Sunnydale like an excited puppy. It blew hats off heads, leaves off trees, and posters off the school walls. But worst of all, it blew trash, lots of it, across the playground. Plastic bottles rolled under benches, paper wrappers swirled like tiny tornadoes. Even lunch trays skittered away like frightened crabs. "Oh dear," cried Compostina, "all this litter! What a disaster!" Tanker rattled his wheels. "It's not my fault. The wind is too strong. Everything's blowing away faster than I can collect it." Rico watched with worry. If the playground remained messy, the students would blame the bins, or worse, think keeping the playground clean didn't matter. He felt something spark inside him, something warm and brave. "I have to help," he whispered. Summoning all his strength, Rico wobbled forward on his small blue wheels. The wind tugged at him, pushing him sideways, but Rico pushed back. He rolled toward a runaway water bottle bouncing across the pavement. "I'm coming!" Rico called, even though the bottle couldn't hear him. He reached the bottle, leaned forward, and plop, caught it inside his bin. "Got one!" he shouted proudly. But the wind howled again, sending a new wave of papers tumbling toward the field. Rico didn't stop. He chased one wrapper after another, catching every recyclable piece he could. The wind blew so hard that sometimes he had to cling to the pavement with his wheels, but he never gave up. The other bins watched in awe. Tanker muttered, "Didn't know the little guy had it in him." Compostina nodded. "He's doing wonderfully." By recess, Rico had caught more recyclables than he had in a whole week. The playground looked nearly clean again. When the children came outside, they gasped, "Hey, someone picked up the mess! This place looks great! Thank you, recycle bin!" Rico felt a glow warm his plastic body. For the first time, the kids really noticed him. But his adventure wasn't over. The next morning, Rico woke to an even stranger problem. All across the playground, little scraps of shiny green plastic were scattered like confetti. "What is this stuff?" Tanker asked. Compostina inspected a piece closely. Not food scraps, not paper, not bottles, and definitely not compost. Rico sniffed to the air. Well, he pretended to, bins can't actually sniff, but he liked the idea. "Smells like a mystery." Just then, Principal Turner stepped outside. "Oh no," she groaned. "Someone has shredded open all the sports ball packaging in the equipment shed. This will take forever to clean up before the inspection today." Inspection? Rico's wheels trembled. The school would be judged for cleanliness, and if it failed, the playground might be closed for repairs. No more recess, no more sunshine, no more children running around. I have to fix this, Rico decided. This is my chance to really help. But Rico, Compostina warned, that mess is huge. And windy, Tanker added, and weird, maybe even dangerous. Rico puffed his lid with courage. Even if it's big, even if it's scary, recycling is my job. I'm small, but I can still make a big difference. So once again, the brave little recycle bin rolled into action. Rico followed the trail of shredded green plastic to the equipment shed. The door was cracked open, just enough for a small blue bin with determination to squeeze inside. The shed was dim, dusty and cluttered with soccer balls, volleyball nets, jump ropes, and a giant box labeled New Sports Equipment, Do Not Open Yet. The box was torn apart. Plastic packaging lay everywhere. Rico rolled closer, and suddenly something rustled behind a pile of basketballs. Rico froze. Hello? Something small scurried forward. It was a squirrel. A very guilty-looking squirrel holding a piece of green plastic like a blanket. Rico blinked. Oh, hello there. The squirrel squeaked and held up its paws, trying to explain in frantic movements. Rico interpreted as best he could. You were cold, and you thought the plastic was good for building a nest? The squirrel nodded frantically. Rico softened. Oh dear, I understand. But this plastic is dangerous for animals and for the school. We need to clean it up. The squirrel's ears drooped. Rico gently tipped himself forward. It's not too late to help. Want to work together? The squirrel hesitated, then chittered happily and began gathering scraps into a pile. Piece by piece, the squirrel and Rico collected the shredded plastic. Rico couldn't recycle this type in the school system, but he knew one thing. If he gathered it all, Tanker could dispose of it safely so it wouldn't harm wildlife. Within half an hour, every piece was picked up. Rico beamed. Thank you, you did great. The squirrel placed one remaining piece of plastic at Rico's base and patted it, as if saying, thank you. Then it scampered away through a hole in the wall. Rico turned to push the heavy shed door open, but a loud squeak echoed above him. The hinges! The door was stuck. Wind howled outside. The door rattled. Uh-oh, Rico whispered. Then, bang! The wind slammed the door shut, trapping Rico inside. Outside, Tanker and Compostina waited anxiously. Tanker, Compostina said. Rico should have returned by now. The big trash bin frowned. He's small. What if he got blown over or stuck? Just then, a scratching noise came from the shed door. Tanker gasped. He's in trouble! With all his heavy strength, Tanker rolled toward the shed. Compostina pushed beside him, her wheels wiggling with determination. Together, they bumped the door. Thud. They tried again. Thud. On the third try, whoosh, the door burst open and Rico rolled out. Rico! Compostina cried. Are you okay? Rico's lid shook. I'm fine, thank you both. Tanker grinned sheepishly. Hey, that's what friends are for. Rico told them about the squirrel, the shredded plastic, and how they'd cleaned it all. Tanker and Compostina exchanged proud looks. You're the bravest bin I've ever seen, Compostina said. Yeah, Tanker agreed. I was wrong about you, little guy. Rico felt warm all over. When Principal Turner returned for inspection, she couldn't believe her eyes. The playground sparkled. Every bench was tidy. Every path was clear. Even the equipment shed looked organized. This is incredible, she exclaimed. I thought we'd have a huge mess. I don't know who cleaned all this, but thank you. Behind her, the children clapped and cheered. One student pointed, It was the recycle bin. I saw it earlier. It caught bottles in the wind. Another chimed in, Yeah, Rico saved the playground. Rico's little blue body nearly burst with pride. Principal Turner laughed. Well then, Rico deserves a special thanks. She placed a shiny gold sticker on his front panel. Sunnydale's eco-hero. The other bins cheered loudly, louder than any bins had ever cheered before. "You did it, Rico! You're not small, you're mighty!" Compostina added, "and very, very brave." Rico's lid tilted happily. Maybe he wasn't the biggest bin. Maybe he didn't collect the most items. But he had made a difference, one piece of recycling at a time. And in Sunnydale Elementary, that made him a hero. From that day forward, Rico wasn't just the recycle bin in the corner. He became the leader of the clean team, a group of bins, students, and even squirrels who helped keep the school sparkling. He taught kids what could be recycled. He encouraged Tanker and Compostina to work together. He greeted every child with a hopeful wiggle of his wheels. Rico knew the world was big, even bigger than the playground. But he also knew something just as important. No one is too small to help the planet. No act is too tiny to matter. And every brave heart makes the world cleaner. And so, every day, Rico stood proudly in the corner of the playground, waiting for the next adventure, ready to make Sunnydale brighter, one bottle, one wrapper, one brave moment at a time.